Gavin, we mentioned getting started with a little bit of Elon housekeeping today, just because the man is so erratic. Obviously, we know he's terrible. Obviously, he's the richest man in the world, but it's a dead horse. We'd like to keep beating because of all of the power he's acquired. Do you want to start with little Marco, or do you want to talk about the occupation of multiple Teslas across the country?
I'm trying to pull up this article that's paywalled right now, so I'll throw up this New York Times article, and yeah, you can set that up while I try to get the Tesla one working.
Sick. Yeah. So it looks like Rubio and Trump. All right, let's see. Inside explosive meeting where Trump officials clashed with Elon Musk, simmering anger at the billionaire's unchecked power, which is great. So basically, what's happening is little Marco thought he was going to go and be Secretary of the State and be treated with dignity and be treated with authority. And everybody was like, wow, really? Trump doesn't hold a grudge. He's just going to he's going to allow Marco Rubio to really ride this out and then take another stab at the presidency after the Trump era is over. That was what a lot of people were thinking, guys. And it kind of did look that way. Well, now it kind of looks a little bit differently. It kind of looks like he's been humiliated behind the scenes. It kind of looks like he's been cucked. Kind of looks like he has had no power, no authority. And Elon is just going in with a sledgehammer and doing things that do not make Marco Rubio look good. And more importantly, he doesn't agree with, right, within his department, leading to this essential, beef and
Yeah.
boil up.
Oh yeah, totally. It seems like the clash is real. The tension is very real. And specifically with Marco Rubio, which is interesting because Marco's a pretty mild mannered guy compared to the, more aggressive folks on the Trump brigade. Marco Rubio's kind of the most just your classic Republican, kind of a throwback to a older pre-Trump era. He's done a pretty good job adapting to the Trump era, but still, he's not exactly a crazy guy, at least on the outside. But as it says here, Marco Rubio was incensed. Here he was in the cabinet room of the White House, the Secretary of State seated beside the president and listening to a litany of attacks from the richest man in the world. So they're literally, in the cabinet room, basically screaming at each other. Seated diagonally opposite across the elliptical mahogany table, Elon Musk was letting Mr. Rubio have it, accusing him of failing to slash his staff. You have fired nobody, Mr. Musk told Rubio, then scornfully added that perhaps the only person he had fired was a staff member from Mr. Musk's Doge. Rubio had been privately furious with Musk for weeks, ever since his team effectively shuttered an entire agency that was supposedly under Rubio's control, the United States Agency for International Development. But in the extraordinary cabinet meeting, on Thursday in front of President Trump and around 20 others, details of which have not been reported before, Mr. Rubio got the grievances off his chest. Mr. Musk was not being truthful, Rubio said. What about the more than 1,500 State Department officials who took early retirement in buyouts? Didn't they count as layoffs? He asked sarcastically whether Mr. Musk wanted him to rehire all those people just so he could make a show of firing them again. Then he laid out his detailed plan for reorganizing the State Department. Mr. Musk was unimpressed. He told Mr. Rubio that he was good on TV, with the clear subtext being that he was not good for much else. Throughout all of this, the president sat back in his chair, arms folded as if he was watching a tennis match. And apparently this argument dragged on for a pretty uncomfortable amount of time, too. I would love to be a fly in the wall during anything like this.
Do you know what I've come to think about Donald Trump is that he's kind of like Diddy in the sense that what Diddy liked to do was manipulate folks into fucking and having freak offs and all kinds of weird, sexually explicit kind of performances that he could conduct, that he could direct, right? Donald Trump doesn't have that same thing in him. Right, like, yeah, he's a rapist. He's a horrible guy. He's definitely not capable of withholding any urge that he has for his own benefit, which is what allows him to do such horrible things, including rape and sexually assault other people. However, it doesn't seem at this late stage in his game that that's what really motivates him. And it seems like what motivates him is these State Department behind the scenes battles, like the soap opera of the government, right? That what he wants to do is sit back and be amused by all of these people as he's like watching his own personal episode of The West Wing. I think that he felt like he was missing out on that during the 4 years where Joe Biden was president. And I think he wanted to get back to always having people rush around him to do everything. and then have the media talk about it all day, because he could kind of somewhat recreate that at Mar-a-Lago by being the center of attention there. But now he gets to really feel and appreciate the scale of it on an international level. And I think that it is a great way of putting it. Just like a tennis match that he's sitting watching going back and forth, because he doesn't really give a shit about any of the outcomes.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good point. He really doesn't care much about the outcomes. He's really just sitting back and watching while the various people around him vie for actual power, actual control of the government, because Trump, for the most part, is too lazy to actually be in charge. So it's like, who's actually going to run the show? Will it be Elon Musk, or will it be the actual people that have been appointed to run these agencies, like Marco Rubio, who, again, I'm definitely not a fan of, but at least he has some sort of a commitment to like the government as we've all known it our whole lives. Like, I imagine Marco Rubio does care a little bit more about the constitutional norms that are being shredded in front of all of us, yeah, that kind of stuff. He seems a little bit more traditional. So, it's definitely interesting, and I totally understand why Marco Rubio and other people in Trump's cabinet are super pissed, because, as it says here, you know, Elon Musk basically decided to unilaterally get rid of this agency, the United States Agency for
Yeah,
International
USAID.
Development. Yeah, and that's under Rubio's control. So he's like, "What the hell, bro? Like, I'm the fucking Secretary of State. Like, you're not even appointed. You didn't even get confirmed by the Senate. Who are you to come in here and tell me what to do, and tell me who to fire, and tell me which agencies should be dissolved and shuttered, etc." It's absolutely insane amounts of disrespect towards people who are confirmed members of the cabinet.
Which is so funny and ironic that he would have the gall to get upset about this and outraged, given the fact that he's pushed for nothing but privatization of government his entire career, given the fact that he's pushed for nothing but undermining the will of the people with private financial interests, whether that be foreign or domestically, right? This is a guy that still kind of graduated from the Republican school of neoconservatism. That's what the beef was with him and Trump back in the day. He was going to lead us into more wars. He was going to do more drone strikes. I mean, who knows if he would have actually done more drone strikes, but he was just proud of it. Donald Trump was at least lying about it on the campaign trail in 2016, right? He went and did more drone strikes than Barack Obama ever did. But the idea is that he was totally proud of the privatization of the United States military. He was totally proud of the expansion of the mercenary state and all of that kind of thing. And now it's come home to Washington. And this is like the most pure manifestation of those libertarian ideas that they all played with throughout the first, throughout the Paul Ryan era before Donald Trump arrived. And now they're getting bit by the same snake.
Yep. However, Marco is definitely not. I don't think you could describe him as a libertarian when it comes to his actual foreign policy. This guy is definitely not a anti-interventionist whatsoever. And in fact, there's even reports that he was pretty pissed by the handling of the Zelensky meeting, because apparently he's been a big pro-Ukraine guy for the last 4 years or last 2-3 years, whatever. And to see Trump and Zelensky go at it in such an aggressive, dramatic way, apparently kind of pissed him off, because he's like, again, I'm supposed to be the top diplomat here. I'm supposed to be in charge of foreign policy, but apparently my opinion on this conflict doesn't even matter. Trump's just doing and saying whatever he wants, which in a sense is kind of, a good thing. I'm glad that Marco Rubio's not just completely running the show, but obviously Trump's not much better either.
Yeah, it's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. And certainly he's from the Mitch McConnell school of libertarian economics, where it only comes down to cutting taxes for the rich and spending more of their more money overseas as a way of like, feeding the war machine, which you're totally right. But again, that's just privatization of our military, which again is just what now Elon Musk is doing domestically. He's privatizing it and he's using it as a way to launder his own money, which is something that, as we both were pointing out, he constantly cheerled for. So it's so funny to watch these guys like get mad at the sanctity of government now. It's like, you got in bed with Donald Trump. You knew what this was going to be. What did you think was going to happen when you decided to join this administration with this guy? It's kind of like play with fire, get burned.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I do think though that it was a good thing for Rubio and potentially other people in the administration to kind of make it clear how pissed off they were at Elon Musk, to make these tensions like out in the open, because it does seem now like there's at least a chance that Musk's role might be somewhat limited. Apparently there was a meeting where Trump told his advisors, you're in charge of your agencies, not Elon Musk. Or rather, the heads of these agencies. He told people like Marco Rubio, at the end of the day, it is your decision who you fire and what goes on. It's not Elon. So, I do think it's a good thing, and maybe we'll see less of Elon in the coming days, specifically because of the hit that Tesla has taken. We have this pretty funny headline, but also I've seen tons of headlines about how across the world, essentially, Tesla stock is down, even in countries like Germany. People are just abandoning the company.
Oh yeah, I mean, gosh, I hope so, right? I was falsely optimistic when they said that he wasn't going to be able to have an office in the White House, that he was going to be out of the way, and then he came back with a freaking vengeance and started swinging at everything. And so who knows if this is just like easy 24 hours of Trump just blaming the heads of the department so that it doesn't come around and look bad on Elon. Like when he knows all this shit is about to collapse, he knows the house of cards is going to come tumbling down, and he doesn't want Elon to be the one that gets blamed. He's going to blame the heads of all these departments and kind of say, this is what Doge wanted. These guys are clearly not capable of running the show. So I'm worried that that might be the direction that they turn to. I do think, as fucked up as it sounds, the fact that I guess it's good, right? Who cares about Elon and Tesla? But the fact that Tesla's burning right now might keep him further away from the White House than before. Because what does this guy care about? He cares about his wallet. And I think he has more wrapped up in Tesla personally than any of his other companies. It's part of his public persona, it's part of his identity at this point. And I think that if the shit really starts hitting the fan, the shareholders are going to demand some action from Elon, whether that's leaving the public eye, parting ways with his shares that he owns of the company, which he definitely doesn't want to do. Because I think he really only got into politics as a way of paving the way for Tesla even further.
Yeah, and that's actually why I think there's a chance, at least, that he does start to wind down his presence in Washington, because he killed the investigations into himself and into all of his companies, including Tesla. He got rid of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. I mean, what else does he really have to do, right? He kind of got rid of the agencies that were threatening him or investigating him. And now he might want to step back before he does any more significant damage to his brand. As it says here, a lot of Tesla drivers are being targeted. Some are getting Nazi salutes from Subarus. That's hilarious. And also, we threw this up on screen too, but this is 100% legit, guys. In fact, there's a protest at the Kansas City Tesla dealerships today, this afternoon. I had lunch with my parents earlier today, and they said they saw it. They passed by the Tesla dealerships and saw massive crowds of people amassing out front to protest. So anger at Elon Musk turns violent with Molotov cocktails and gunfire at Tesla lots. That's pretty crazy. I haven't really read this whole article yet, so I don't know exactly what went down. But that's pretty wild. People are definitely pissed at Elon Musk, seemingly more than Donald Trump.
Oh yeah, I mean he's so visual, right? And he also wasn't elected, and he's also the world's richest man. He's just the perfect symbol to retaliate against, right? And I think that is the biggest mistake of the Donald Trump administration in elevating him, is that that symbol became this other guy, right?
Yep.
So it wasn't like love it or hate him. It's Donald Trump. It's now this other amorphous dude that even Donald Trump's own base has grown to loathe, has grown to reject directly. I think he's debased Donald Trump's popularity, even though Donald Trump is still more popular now than he was the first time around. I think he would be having even more luck if it wasn't for Elon Musk constantly dragging him down. But on the other hand, I mean, I don't think we can rule out the fact that Elon Musk is here to stay for the entire administration. It could go either way still.
Yeah, that I would not be sure about that, just given the turnover in the first administration. Technically, Doge is like set to expire in 2026 or some shit. So it is very possible that by the midterms, Elon Musk kind of is out of the way, and then Trump's like, "What? What are you talking about? It's what do you mean?
I hope that's
It's
what
great. We
happens.
made America great again. No more Elon Musk."
Yeah.
It's definitely possible, but who knows? He might be a total he might be a tick, on the scalp of this nation, and he just never, leaves. He's just, in there for good. So we'll have to see. Yeah.
I'm just feeling like he might be the real vice president for the 4 years. You know what I mean? But who knows?
Yeah.
Like JD Vance is just a birth certificate from Ohio. You know what I mean? But the real guy calling the shots in the background, Dick Cheney style, was Elon Musk. I don't know. We'll see. I hope that all of the Tesla dealerships catch on fire and he's forced to quit.
Look out the door if you hear an ambulance. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there. Be there. The Vanguard will be there. Be there.